Senator Ndume was Nigeria's Senate leader until he was removed from that position because of his outspokenness. Well, he keeps talking, even as a senator removed as the Senate leader. And he has just issued a statement to the press urging the new Chief of Army Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, to push for better remuneration for Nigeria's armed forces to boost their morale. Coincidentally, General Oluyede did just that, telling the government to improve funding for the police so that the police can attend to internal security and the military can be freed for its constitutional role of attending to external insecurity. And of course, he called for better funding for the military, the personnel, and the equipment, advising that ammunition should be produced in Nigeria rather than over-reliance on importation that is not sustainable. So, commendation for both Ndume and the new Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede. And now the issue. Where is the National Assembly when the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is underfunding the police and the army, underpaying the police and military personnel? Well, it will mean that the legislature has been compromised in its duty of checking on the presidency. And without deceiving ourselves, the legislators know what they cut home on monthly basis compared with the rest of Nigerians, even workers. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been very selective, doing selective justice, satisfying both the legislature and the judiciary that could check on his excesses, neutralizing checks and balances of power for propriety, for justice and propriety. We have a president that prefers to bribe leaders, leaders of workers' unions, than doing justice to workers. We could see that after Tinubu's, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tete-a-tete with the President of Nigeria's Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, and the President of Nigeria's Trade Union Congress, Festus Osifo. They both accepted 70,000 as minimum wage instead of at least, at minimum, 100,000, given the rate of inflation in town. That is a clear case of bribing workers' unions leaders rather than doing justice to workers. And you will see that the 70,000 accepted by Joe Ajaero and Festus Osifo and their collaborators has been increased by some governors with human feeling, saying, 70,000, how are they going to survive with 70,000 minimum wage with the rate of inflation in town? Some to 75,000, some to 85,000, some to 94,000, and now we have had also we have now 104,000 minimum wage by Imo State of Hope Uzodinma, really giving hope to the workers, But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not care for workers, Since, well, of course, he's not alone in it. Since 2013 till date, the leaders of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASU, have been colluding with the government and getting a bribe, calling it Earned Academic Allowance of Workers. Earned Academic Allowance, shared with the non-academic unions. Thereby preventing the workers from getting their legitimately earned allowances, academic and non-academic, since 2013 till 2020. What can be more scandalous? But the fact is that though it started in 2013 under the presidency of Goodluck Ebele Asikwe Jonathan, it was perpetuated by the presidency of Muhammadu Buhari and now by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who in 2025 paid another bribe called Earned Academic Allowance. That is not earned academic allowance of the workers, but a bribe given to the leaders of the unions to share to their members as they like. Therefore, the leaders and their cronies becoming multimillionaire at the expense of the overwhelming majority common members, giving pittance with some less than 20,000, some less than 10,000 in the non-academic unions. So that's the leadership we have. Corruption is the order of the day, aptly called Boko Haram by the Boko Haram Muslim community, a community that is protesting abuse of Western education to perpetrate Haram, meaning Boko Haram. Boko, the Hausa language transliteration of book, symbolizing Western education. So Boko Haram, abuse of Western education to perpetrate Haram, which nobody in his or her right mind can deny. And the community was not violent until government imposed war on it, and the community taken to terrorism to fight back, because it's a small community. And yet, since 2009 till 2025, Nigeria Armed Forces are still fighting the Boko Haram Muslim community. And the community has given, the terrorism has given back to more children. Also based on the government policies of mass impoverization of the citizens, fueling criminality in mushrooming armed bandits, mushrooming armed robbers, mushrooming terrorist organizations. And you will ask yourself, this same Nigeria existed before without any iota of terrorism, including 1999 to 2007 under the presidency of Olusegun Obasanjo. So terrorism came with a Fulani Muslim imperialist getting power in the person of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua and using the power, abusing the power to attack the Boko Haram Muslim community under the excuse of unorthodox Islam, as if the Fulani Muslim imperialists are the owner of Islam and not God. Because if it were of God, they will say, okay, we leave you to God. More so that the community was not fighting anybody, and so existed peacefully under the presidency of Olusegun Obasanjo. But what we are saying now is that Nigerian workers, including the police and the army, are poorly paid. Yeah. I don't know whether the chief of army, the chief of defense staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, read the statement of Ali Ndume or not, but he is aware that the police and the army and the security forces are underfunded, and he advised government to that effect in his, after his decoration as the new chief of defense staff. He said that on his own, and I said to him in a video that the demarcation between internal and external insecurities that he made is artificial, because the Boko Haram Muslim community, the armed bandits, the herdsmen terrorists, all of them are Nigerian based. So it's not external. It's true that war is for the military forces to battle, but this war is internal, and that anytime they claim to eliminate hundreds of the terrorists, I tell them, or the armed bandits, I tell them, you are killing our brothers, who are victims of misrule. Yes, they may have criminal instincts, but it's being fueled by governmental injustice against the Boko Haram Muslim community, against workers, against common people. Okay, take it from fuel subsidy is gone, all other subsidies are gone. With what left for common Nigerians? You are doing injustice and you're expecting peace. Where will you get it? How will you get it? So even army, the police and the army will never solve the problem of insecurities in Nigeria until government repents of its policies and actions. The policy of mass impoverization, epitomized in fuel subsidy is gone, all other subsidies are gone. And condoning herdsmen terrorism, grazing of cattle in agrarian fields. Who gave AK-47 to the herdsmen terrorists that have become larger than life since 2015 till date under the so-called All Progressives Congress? And if the military forces, the security forces have not been able to defeat the Boko Haram Muslim community since 2009 to 2025, what is going to give you the assurance that they will ever defeat the Boko Haram Muslim community? Because it's producing children in ISWAP. Islamic State of West African People, and now Lakurawa, and another one that I don't know their name, just because government policies are incentives to criminalities. So you are saying repentant terrorists, while the government is the chief terrorist. And so without the repentance of the rulers, there's nothing to stop criminalities. That is the truth of the matter. Anyway, it's now clear that a senator has indicated that telling government to improve the remuneration of the security forces is beyond the National Assembly. Because those who should check the executive arm have been compromised under the same bribery and corruption Boko Haram that we are talking about. Using money to silence people who can tell you the truth, who can check your excesses. And the question is, this how Nigeria is going to continue? Under war against Boko Haram Muslim community, herdsmen terrorism, fuel subsidy is gone, all other subsidies are gone. And now, even saying Nigerians must pay 15% fuel importation duty.